Hello everyone and welcome back to GLB Productions. This is Bruno Luce here and I have another live sound story for you today. This one evolves around one of my school shows. Now this is a fairly large international school that I work with in Singapore. I've worked with them for a number of years doing training for their students as well as some of their internal shows. So musicals, concerts, that sort of thing. Now, this particular event was a large cultural festival which had several stages. The stage that I looked after is kind of like the indie stage. There's some pop stuff, some singer-songwriter, some funk, some soul. They have a separate stage where they have all of the noisier stuff, the hard rock and the metal. And the arrangement that I have with the school is that I will use whatever equipment the school has and I will make that work. So the school pays me for my time, but there is no equipment rental, and this is mainly to help the school stay within its budget. So as a result, I come across quite a bit of sketchy gear because, as you know, a lot of the time school stuff is worked very hard and there isn't always a systematic process of maintaining, troubleshooting, checking, that kind of thing. So this particular year, we were very short of cabling. The cabling is shared between the music department and the school's general office, and as a result it migrates back and forth, and a lot of the time it seems that the office has most of the stuff. So we had to scrounge and we had to dig, and I was digging through every single storage cupboard I could find and pulling all of the cabling, some of which hadn't been used in years. So as I was doing this, I found a cable that was female on both ends. The cable itself was good quality. It was Canary 802 braided shield, but the connectors looked like they were some kind of Canon knockoff, and I didn't like the look of them. Now, because the cable was female at both ends, we couldn't readily use it for this particular show. The setup doesn't involve a snake, so there's no need to run return lines, and we didn't have any channels that were reversed. But because the cable was wired wrongly, I thought, okay, I'll take it home and I'll change one of the connectors to male and we'll call it good. Show was successful, and then when I got home, the first thing that I did was I took my cable tester and using a male turnaround, I ran the cable through the tester and it checked out fine. Then I proceeded to disassemble one end of the cable and remove the connector. When I did, I had quite a surprise because I found that it had been miswired as followed. Now, we all know that the standard wiring for any microphone cable is pin 1 shield, pin 2 hot, and pin 3 cold. This cable had been wired pin 1 hot, pin 2 cold, and pin 3 shield, as you can see from this picture. Now, in Singapore, the convention for colors in a mic cable is that the lighter color is always pin 2 hot. So in the case of Canary 802, which has a blue and a white, white is always hot, blue is always cold. With Klotz cabling and Belden cabling, which have a red and a blue, the red is always hot and the blue is always cold. So as you can see, there were two errors in this cable, right? The first error, and the more serious error, was that the shield was wired to pin 3. Now, if you'd actually gone and used this cable, or even worse, if it had been wired as a normal mic cable, it would have shown up fine on the cable tester. Because remember, all the cable tester can show you is that the cable is wired pin 1 to pin 1, pin 2 to pin 2, and pin 3 to pin 3. It can't actually tell you if you have this kind of a problem. If pin 3 is the shield, what effectively has happened is that you have converted a balanced line into an unbalanced line, and you've lost all the benefits of your common mode rejection. And as a result, you would have a very noisy cable. And you would probably have quite a time tracking this down because, again, it would show up fine on a cable tester, so the only way to detect it would have been to start unplugging cables one at a time and see where the problem was. And even then, you might suspect that the problem was actually the piece of gear that came before the cable and not the cable itself. The second error, of course, was the error in choice of colors, right? We should always use the lighter color for hot and the darker color for cold. So in the end, what I did was I ended up redoing the entire cable. I replaced the connectors, and here's the final product. So, I didn't have to do this. I could just have, tossed the cable aside, said, not my problem, not my property, not my cable. But think about it. This school is a regular customer of mine. I work with them, and I work with their gear every single year. So if I had ignored the problem, there's a very high chance that it would come back the following year to bite me. And not just that, by solving this problem now, I've actually solved it for the school for the rest of the year. And in live sound, just like in any profession, reputation and professionalism are extremely important. And being able to say to the school that, hey, I found this problem and I've sorted it for you, no charge, it's worth a lot, right? So what did we learn from this? First of all, if you see a problem like this, fix it straight away. If you can't label the cable or, cut the connectors off or something like that to prevent people from reusing them. Some people, they have a stash which is kind of bad cabling. I don't really like that because, chances are is that they'll get mixed up with the good stuff. So either label it clearly or cut the connectors off such that they can't be accidentally used. The other thing is, this to me is a very strong argument for building your own cables. If you build your own cables, you will know for certain that they are done correct. Now, if you look at this picture, you'll see that when I dismantled the cable, the wiring internally was a really shoddy job. You can see that there's too much of the outer jacket stripped off. The shield is not neatly twisted together and it's not tinned, right? So if you compare that with my work on the right, you can see how much neater it is. If you build your own cabling, you know that both ends are done correct. If you don't twist the shield neatly together and tin it, small strands of that shield can come adrift inside the connector and they can actually cause shorts, and then you'll have a whole nother bunch of problems. So, lesson learned, and now I know to watch out for this kind of thing. I hope this video has been useful for you. Please feel free to leave comments or questions below. And if you like my videos, do please subscribe to my channel and consider becoming a patron by following the link to patreon.com. This is Bruno Luce for GLB Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.